So imagine spending tens of millions of dollars and sometimes even hundreds of millions of dollars building a brand new studio, hyping up a brand new bold heist shooter, only for the internet to completely roast you into oblivion the second that it's revealed. That's essentially the story of Fairgames, which is going to be Sony's next big gamble that it really looks like it's a guaranteed loss. Here's the hilarious thing about Fairgames before we get into the video. Fairgames is coming out after a video game like Concord blew up into the water. Why on God's green earth would you ever release a video game like Fairgames after a video game like Concord ended up tanking? And yet here we are where apparently that's going to happen. In today's video, we're breaking down the growing disaster behind Fairgames, from brutal fan backlash to internal development problems to the shocking exit of Haven Studios founder. And we're also going to talk about the bigger picture overall. How is PlayStation's live service push going to continue to burn cash on video games that nobody wants? So shout out to all of you 88,000 legends out there. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, and the over 47% of you who are not subscribed to this channel right now, consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. So what is Fairgames? Well, Fairgames was first revealed during the 2023 PlayStation Showcase, developed by Haven Studios, founded by industry veteran Jade Raymond. It was supposed to be a stylish, modern heist shooter with a rebellious punk tone. Think Robin Hood meets Fortnite with a splash of Payday. But here's the problem, and this is one big problem. This CGI trailer that was showcased in the PlayStation Showcase, that was it. It was just CGI. There was no gameplay, no real idea what players would actually do, and what's worse, the trailer looked like a generic montage of Gen Z stereotypes, cringe voiceovers, and forgettable aesthetics. This game looked so bad that it got mocked on every corner of the internet, and rightfully so. And to be honest with you, we haven't really heard that much since the original trailer dropped. When this trailer dropped, people were screaming a multitude of things, which is DEI, all this nonsense that has been happening with games lately. And for this game to get this much backlash, again, releasing after Concord died, it is a hilarious thing to me that they would even consider releasing this game on top of that. It's almost as if Sony is pretty addicted to losing money, for whatever that reason may be. It's a very weird decision, but ultimately, what was the reaction? Well, again, it was immediate and it was overwhelmingly negative. People tore it apart for its awkward title, which again, what are we talking about with this title? Why do you have a dollar sign anyway? It's ridiculous. Yes, it literally ends with a dollar sign, like some try-hard MySpace rapper. The trailer was mocked for its lifeless vibe, cringy tone, and the fact that Sony was hyping yet another live service shooter, another one.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Instead of the single-player masterpieces that made them famous in the first place. The actual memorable video games that people actually love from Sony. No. They want to push live service games on you. They want to get you to continue to give them money after the initial purchase. The weirdest thing, too, is that Sony is pushing live service video games that have an entry fee. It is the weirdest thing. Most of them are not even free to play, and they are trying to charge you $30 to $40 out the gate in order to get you initial money, and then they're trying to monetize you after the fact. They tried to do this with Concord and failed. They are trying to do it right now with Marathon, and we all know how that game is going.
Bruh.
And they're going to try to do it again with Fairgames. I don't think this game is going to be free to play. To my knowledge, they are charging you money in order to gain entry into this game, and we already know where this game's going to go. So people tore it apart again because the title is weird, it's cringy overall, and it's not the single-player games that people want from Sony. Critics and fans alike slammed the project as Sony was basically chasing trends, another Me Too product trying to cash in on the extraction shooter market while completely missing the point. Some even compared it to Hyenas, which is Sega's now canceled live service shooter, saying Fairgames already looked dead on arrival. Keep in mind, guys, we are in a world where there is live service shooters at every section of the internet. You look to your left, there's a live service shooter. You look to your right, there's a live service shooter. You look to the front of you, guess what? There's a live service shooter. This is something that they're trying to push because they want to get rich off of very lazy work. That is essentially what it is. They're all looking for their next big live service game, and no matter what they do, no matter what they say, they are going to constantly keep trying to get that kind of cash cow eventually. They'll utilize single player games that actually are wanted by people and use that to subsidize their next attempt to try to get a live service shooter. They've done it with Concord, failed miserably. They're most likely going to fail with Marathon, and this is probably going to be another massive failure as well. I think out of the three, I would imagine Marathon would probably do the best because it has Bungie behind them and people know Bungie, although they're not exactly in the best of light right now. But still, when it comes to Fairgames from a brand new studio, yeah, nobody cares. Just like what happened with Concord that came from Firewalk Studios. Nobody cared. And that was just the public reaction. Behind the scenes, things were not going any smoother either. According to multiple reports and insider leaks, Fairgames has essentially been in development hell. It's had internal delays like crazy, scope creep all the time, conflicting creative direction between Sony higher-ups and Haven's leadership. Even now, over 2 years into production, actual gameplay footage is still MIA. There is no gameplay footage being shown for this game whatsoever. All we got so far is a CGI trailer that people have been making fun of. Insiders say that the core gameplay loop has been reworked multiple times, and that is never a good sign. The tech behind it was also so ambitious that Haven bragged about their proprietary cloud tools and machine learning support. But in reality, the studio was constantly hitting roadblocks. Sony thought that they were betting on the next big thing, but what they got was a bloated, confused mess that's still nowhere near ready for prime time. But here's the problem. This studio was, again, founded by Jade Raymond, who is known very much in the gaming industry. And with her recent departure, everybody's pretty much scratching their head. Why did this happen? She's made no official statement whatsoever at the time of filming this video. She hasn't told anybody why she left this particular studio, and it only shows that things are getting worse. I don't even know at this point if Fairgames is going to release. You can let me know in the comments down below what you personally think on this video. But at this point, with all of the drama this game has, with all the backlash this game has, and now the CEO head is leaving the company, and Sony's trying to be out here like, yeah, no, everything's fine. I don't think everything's fine. I'm not even sure if this game's coming out anymore. But again, came the shocker that Jade Raymond, the studio head and visionary behind Fairgames, left the very studio that she founded. This is the same Jade Raymond who helped create Assassin's Creed. Sony gave her a blank check to build Haven from the ground up, and now she's walked away before the studio's first game even launches. According to sources close to the studio, her departure wasn't exactly on good terms. Sony was reportedly frustrated with the game's lack of progress and the negative buzz. Raymond, on the other hand, felt handcuffed by corporate interference. Whether she jumped or was pushed, one thing is clear: leadership bailing mid-project is never a good omen. And I want to be very clear with you guys as well. I understand that there could be definitely some restrictions when it comes to corporatized video game production. I can understand that, right? I can understand that Sony probably has their hands in a little bit too much nonsense. But I'm telling you right now, Jade Raymond leaving is probably going to be the ultimate death note to this game not coming out. There is way too many red flags for this video game. The fact that we've seen zero gameplay in many years of development is not a good sign. And at this point, they are already so far behind the trend when it comes to extraction shooters, or in this case, a rob the rich kind of shooter. I'm not really exactly very confident that this game is ever going to see the light of day. But let's zoom out for a second, because Fairgames is just the latest entry in what's turning into a catastrophic trend for PlayStation. Sony's been aggressively investing in live service titles, not just Fairgame, but also Concord, which was another team-based shooter that got dunked on, and Marathon with Bungie, which is facing its own firestorm as mentioned earlier in the video. Sony spent hundreds of millions of dollars acquiring new studios and funding projects just to chase the live service dream, but it's clear that they completely misread the market. Gamers don't want another live service looter shooter. They want quality, finished, meaningful experiences, the kind of games that made PlayStation the household name that they are today. But it is estimated that between Fairgames, Concord, and Marathon, Sony may have already blown well over $600 million between all the games. And they're going to do it in a market that is completely oversaturated and where competition is not only brutal, but also free. That's a big part of this entire conversation. The games that they are competing against are, for the most part, usually free. So they're out here being one of the only ones that is going to try to tie themselves to an entry price. And they're thinking that they're going to have the same player base as the ones who are free. What is wrong with you? I don't understand who is even running your fucking departments that are out here thinking that this is even remotely close to being possible. So what happens now? Well, I mean, PlayStation fans are losing confidence overall In Fairgames, many people, when you ask them, either online or in real life, if you ask them, hey, have you heard about Fairgames? Do you think it's going to come out? Most people are going to say no, especially the ones that are following the information and following the recent departure of the CEO, the co-founder. I think it's pretty safe to say that this game is probably not going to come out, especially not anytime soon. Longtime supporters are frustrated. Sony's top brass is doubling down on a business model that is rapidly losing steam. And the worst part, these games are all interconnected. If Fairgame fails, if Concord tanks, as Marathon fizzles out, Sony's multi-studio gamble could implode. And the funny thing is, one of those already happened. Concord is done. It is dead, and Firewalk Studios has officially closed down a long time ago. Marathon is one of those games that might potentially not see the light of day, considering that they stole a bunch of art from an artist and have an over 10 million view tweet that is going viral against their name that they have to deal with. And considering that their entire game seems to be inspired art-wise from this one particular artist, they're going to have a bit of a problem releasing this game anytime soon. It's supposed to release in the next 4 months, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. I would expect to hear delay news pretty soon. And then, of course, you have Fairgames, which, again, Fairgames is one of these video games, and I don't know of anybody that's looking forward to it. I highly doubt there's going to be many people playing Fairgames if it were to come out now in the shape that it's in. And keep in mind, the shape that it's in right now probably is not even an alpha, to be honest with you. So let's not forget that while this is going on, other first-party projects have been delayed or put on hold. Naughty Dog canceled their Last of Us multiplayer a long time ago. Guerrilla's multiplayer spinoff delayed indefinitely. It's clear that Sony's obsession with live service gaming is cannibalizing the single-player experiences that people actually want, that people actually pay for. So to wrap this up, when it comes to Fairgames, it's looking like it's going to be a failure before it even launches. It's a cringe-worthy reveal, development chaos everywhere, and the founders walking away. It's everything you don't want to hear about a brand new IP. Can you imagine you researching your video game that you're potentially interested in buying, only to find out that people have an overall low morale and other people are quitting the company? It's very clear that people aren't happy with the game at all. We have an article here from Insider Gaming that explains to us the following. They essentially say that there is an insider over at Bungie that has reported to them and told them that morale is at an all-time low for Bungie over the video game Marathon. It's a new report that revealed what current employees allegedly think of Bungie's current situation when it comes to Marathon. The report comes from Paul Tassi at Forbes, and it says that it comes following another brutal week for Bungie after an artist named Anti-Real accused Bungie of plagiarizing her art for its upcoming game Marathon. It was an accusation that Bungie soon admitted to and put the blame on a former employee, with the studio saying that they had reached out to the artist to do the right by them. But unfortunately, Bungie's response just didn't do too much in the way of changing the community sentiment, as people are now questioning Marathon's entire art direction and slating the company for repeatedly ripping assets from artists. This is allegedly the 4th time Bungie has done this in 5 years. And keep in mind, guys, I made a deep dive video on Bungie, so I would appreciate if you go check it out, the recent Marathon game and all the drama that happened on the live stream that they got on in order to explain what happened with the artists and all the BS PR speak they did. I highly implore you check out that video. I will link it at the top of this video. So again, morale is very low, and according to some of the insiders, they have said the following, that everyone has the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. As for what this all means for the future of the game is currently unclear, but according to the report, there's currently no plan to delay the game from its September release date, or at the very least, that has not yet been conveyed to developers, although it is being discussed higher up. The report does outline that some changes were made to the Bungie marketing plan, with Bungie pulling the plug earlier this month on a new trailer that was slated to be revealed in June. As for what this all means for Bungie and Marathon is uncertain, but with the writing on the wall, it seems to suggest that at the very least, the game needs a substantial delay to keep Bungie going and to give the game as much time as possible to try to essentially go back to the drawing board. Marathon was already going to be a struggle, but after this recent controversy, it's impossible to see how Bungie will turn things around in the next couple of months without some form of a delay. Fairgames is going to end up in the exact same situation, by the way. Fairgames is going to end up in a situation where they're also going to have to be delayed. They have people quitting left and right. I'm sure there's going to be some insider leaks from the studio talking about how bad it is, even though they kind of already did in the past. It is a full cluster over there at Fairgames, and it's only going to get worse. And Sony only really has themselves to blame for making this even a thing in the first place. You guys are about 5 to 10 years too late on the extraction shooter trend. I think you should definitely move into your single player games where you happen to do a decent job at representing a single player game. But this kind of nonsense, this live service nonsense, you guys constantly want to try to do this, and it always fails every single freaking time. So again, Sony thought that it could buy its way into the live service market, but money doesn't guarantee success, especially when you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, essentially. If Sony wants to avoid a full-blown disaster, they need to reevaluate immediately, invest in what made them great, story-driven, premium quality games, not this cash grab garbage that's already been laughed off the internet. And you already know once they reveal their second trailer, which will be coming, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a few years at this point. But whenever that second trailer drops, Fairgames is going to be absolutely nuked off of YouTube, just like it did the first time. Nobody liked this trailer. Nobody cared for this trailer. The entire trailer has been playing throughout the duration of this video, and it's a joke. Because ultimately, the game looks terrible. It has this feeling and look to it that it was made by a bunch of angry leftists that hate rich people, even though most of them are rich. They hate them, right? They want to make everything the fault of the rich white man. It is never the fault of anybody else, which is why they try to constantly push this narrative. So what's going to happen to Fairgames? Well, that's up to players. That's up to gamers. That's up to you guys. You guys will decide what will happen to Fairgames. But I think it's pretty safe to say, considering that Payday isn't doing that well, and considering that the extraction shooter, trend has completely left the station, and these guys are 5 train stations behind, I think it's safe to say that this game is not going to do that well, especially if it has a price point entry of anywhere near $40 or more. People are going to absolutely skip this game for every chance that they get, and this is going to be a game that's going to end up with extremely low player numbers. We're talking like 2, 3, 5,000, 10 if they're lucky on Steam, and that is basically it. Obviously, I could be wrong, but considering how everything is going right now and everybody's quitting and complaining about the way the game is inside, I think that's safe to say that they're going to have so much internal turmoil that this game is cooked before it even came out. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below and let me know, what did you think of Fairgames when you saw the trailer? And what do you think of Sony's direction with live service games? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and a special shout out to all of the Bigot Army members for joining the channel. I appreciate it. If you have the ability to hit that join button, I would appreciate it. But if you cannot, just give the video a like. It goes a very long way. Special shout out to all you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Hypnotic out.